welcome back. Glad to be back. Today we are going to talk about 3 games that I think you should own. First one being Time Split is Future Perfect. Now, I know in the video, the gameplay that I did, I got the main character, which his name is actually Cortez. And here are some of my thoughts on it. Hope you guys enjoy. Alright, well today we are going to be talking about Time Split is Future Perfect, one of my favorite games from when I was a childhood with me and my friends. We used to do a whole lot of stuff with the map maker. And of course the story, pretty decent, pretty unique for the time, because I would never really actually played Call of Duty back in the day on the PlayStation 2. I was more of a Time Splitters kind of guy. They have challenges that have my favorite, Behead the Undead, kind of like zombies, and then Arcade, which I'm going to show you a little bit of the gameplay of that right now. Just go with a normal team deathmatch, but they got like Capture the Bag, and a bunch of different unique areas like the disco, the subway, Zeppelin, Mars Prison, Suburbia. We'll just go with Siberia, not Suburbia, and we'll just go with a random assortment of stuff. And then we have what I think is the most unique is the characters, because every time you click a character, they have their own little animations, which I thought was phenomenal. I'll show you a couple of them here. And of course, my favorite character of all time is Mr. Giggles. Never gets old. But basically, the story goes, well, at least with the story mode, the main character is Cortex, or something like that. I believe it's Cortex. But anyways, it's just your normal first-person shooter, which was pretty decent for the time it aired, as you can see with some of the gameplay. And of course, each character has their own stats. Like some of them will be able to get set on fire easier, where others are a lot harder. And of course, I'm not very good at it. I haven't played in a good minute, but I just wanted to show you guys some gameplay footage and some of my thoughts on it. But I mean, it kind of reminds me of a mixture between Call of Duty and kind of a 007, but with way wonkier characters. But all in all, I'd have to give this game at least a 7 out of 10, in my opinion. But let me hear what your thoughts are on the game. And if you own the game, well, if you own the game. But if you don't, it's definitely one that you should not miss. Definitely pick this one up, because it is definitely worth your time. Alrighty, hope you guys enjoyed that little bit. Now, on to the next game. One that I wish I would have gotten for my Xbox 360 when I got it, but of course, as you know, I got BioShock first. But that would be Alan Wake. Decent little title, great story, but you'll hear all my thoughts and opinions on it here in just a second when I show you the gameplay and some information from the story. Alrighty. Alan Wake. What can I say about this game? Well, for it being an Xbox 360 title, it was definitely ambitious. And the way they deal with the story was interesting, because not only did they give you your regular dialogue through voice, there were also manuscripts you could get, which were little notes that basically gave you little extra tidbits. There are TVs you can watch to get more story, and there's also radios that you can listen into, which made the experience of the game that much more interesting. And just by looking at some of the footage that I presented for you guys, you can tell that it is a little bit more dark tone for the story. We're gonna go through this journey together. And the combat for this is also pretty interesting, because it's kind of like the Gears of War, if you've ever played a Gears of War game, where it's third person. You get guns, shotguns, you get flares. Basically, light is your greatest weapon against the darkness. There are characters, well, enemies that you'll see that are enveloped in shadow, and you have to use your flashlight to destroy them, which I will skip ahead and show you guys some of that gameplay here in just a second. There's one of the enemies. See how he's all enveloped in shadow? And there he is. Alrighty. So here's the flashlight, and of course you can see I have a pistol. And these lights basically are like your save points. I got the generator running. And none of the dark creatures that you saw just a second ago bother us in those areas of the game. Definitely interesting how they decide to tell the story. And the story is in a small town called Bright Falls. Here's a flare that I could pick up. Let's see if we can't find ourselves an enemy so I can show you a little bit of the combat. Give me just a second. There we go. And this is how the combat works in the game. You can see how there's a little flashlight up there. You kind of have to insert batteries. If you run out of batteries, then you kind of are a little out of luck, which is kind of unfortunate when you have a horde of enemies. But, and of course, you got your dodges and stuff. Pretty decent. Oh, and things can go terribly wrong within a second. Alrighty. Well, I'm gonna die, but you get the concept of what I'm trying to go for. But anyways, all in all, with the way they decide to present this game, I would at least have to give it a 9 out of 10, because just the visuals, the gameplay, just the story alone just is amazing. So, if you don't own this game, I highly recommend that you go and pick it up, because it is well worth it, and it's not that expensive nowadays. I think I only got my copy for maybe like 15 bucks, which honestly isn't that bad. Pretty decent. And of course, as they say, last but not least, one of my favorite games that I've gotten as an adult, like I said in the video, I wish I would have gotten when I was a kid, was The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. And in the video, I wasn't sure who the bad guy was, but to be clear, it was Ganon. And the other world was the Sacred Realm before Ganon gets the Triforce, but once he gets the Triforce, then it is called the Dark World. So, hopefully you guys enjoy the last little bit of the gameplay that I have presented for you today, and enjoy. I couldn't necessarily make one of these lists without an awesome retro game. And of course, I chose The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. A lot of people enjoyed this when they were younger. I unfortunately, even though I owned a Super Nintendo, I never owned this as a kid. I wish I would have, because it is a great game. And here's me starting off at my house. Already got my sword and done the little prologue. You get different items. Let's see. You got the bow and arrow, boomerang, bomb. Mushrooms, one of the items you can use later on. Of course, you got your fairy houses that you can visit. You got a bug catcher, a lamp. Of course, your normal bottles. I mean, I'm not too far in the game, as you can tell. But nevertheless, if you've ever played The Legend of Zelda, this is definitely one worth getting. And I think I found my copy for, I think, 15 bucks, which honestly isn't too bad, because I think they're going about like 20, 25 nowadays. Even with a sprawling map, and it tells you where you need to go. You can see I'm still in the beginning. I still have to collect the pendants, but later on you get to go to another world, which is the same map, but I think it's called the Dark World. I know in a link to a link between worlds, it's a Dark World. Pretty sure it's the same it's just the past in this one. But anyways, still, for what it was going for in the 16-bit era, it was definitely ambitious and definitely an amazing game. Haven't gotten too far into it, but as you can see, amazing for what they were going for. I'll show you a little bit of that. Got your running strike. And I believe if you guys don't own a Super Nintendo, you can easily get one for at least about, I think they're going for about around $80 nowadays, something like that. 80 to 100, which isn't too terribly bad. I have the mini, so it looks a little bit more slick. And eventually, I want to upgrade and get something a little bit more snazzier. And if I end up finding one, I'll show you guys in a review of it when I do get it. And if I get it. But I just love how the controls scheme is set out for the game. And of course, if anyone's played a Super Nintendo, they know how comfortable the bone controller is. Phenomenal. Even though I'd have to say my favorite controller by Nintendo, even though I just died, has to be the GameCube controller. It's just, it felt so great in the hand. But, and when you start off, any game, you can start off either at Link's house or the Sanctuary, which is a pretty neat touch. But the story goes, Zelda gets kidnapped, or no, she was about to get kidnapped, and you have to go and save her from the castle right off the bat. Well, then you end up at the Sanctuary, and then, of course, you're tasked to fight the forces of evil, mainly Ganon. I'm pretty sure Ganon's one of the bosses in this one. I could be wrong. So I know in A Link Between Worlds, they change up the bad guy. And it's this weird dude with a paintbrush that take the sages, which that is also another great game, which I will eventually be doing a video on and making a review for. But for now, we're just going to be doing this one. So I hope you guys enjoyed some of the gameplay, some of my thoughts on it, and I would have to rate this game at least a good 8.5 out of 10. Alrighty, well that should wrap up today's video. I don't know if we'll be able to do this every single day, but I'm going to try to post one at least once a week for you guys, since I have a decent amount of views for the first one, and I have a couple subscribers, so thank you for who subscribed. So if you like this video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time.